Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm okay as well. Actually, I am awesome because it's Thursday and we have Dear John letters. Aren't you excited for that?
Sure.
Guess what it's about today?
What's it
I
about?
can't tell you. Hey, if you want to know, you can go onto our Facebook page like everybody else. I posted it early squirrely this morning, so you can go on there and see it. And you can also chime in with your own advice. And then later in the program, we will read said letter on the radio, and we will give the best advice known to man. Okay, the best advice that comes from this studio during the time that we're in here. That's what we'll give. And I guarantee you on that. That's coming up later in the program. And you can also submit your own Dear John letter on our Facebook page as well, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Got a quote for today. You ready for this?
Ready.
Don't become enormously successful without encountering some really interesting problems.
Wow.
You don't become enormously successful without encountering some really interesting problems.
We've had the problems. When does the successful part
it'll be
come?
here any day now. Mark Victor Hansen said so in his quote for today.
John and Heidi.
Many people make extra money working from home. They find a product and they market it to earn extra income. I know what you're thinking. I just don't have the time or personality to do sales. Well, you don't have to. We have a business builder program to make our program super easy. You can sign up for this work from home business and let us help you build it. We run ads on radio stations like this one, and we help people like you learn how to earn extra monthly income. Call us toll free at 1-800-975-7592. See how easy it can be to have your own business. 1-800-975-7592.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today,
I
John?
thought you'd never ask. It's Thursday, July the 13th. Hey, it's my brother's birthday today.
Aww.
No, not the one I mentioned last week. My other brother, Joe. See, Jason's last week. Joe is today. It is Embrace Your Geekness Day. I do that every day. It is also Gruntled Workers Day. So for happy people, isn't gruntled the opposite of disgruntled?
I believe so.
It just doesn't sound good, though. I think I should get a T-shirt made that says, I'm a gruntled employee. Maybe not. International Sister Cities Day today. Do we have a sister city?
I don't think so.
A stepsister city?
I don't think so.
A forgotten sister city? We probably do. National French Fries Day today. Oh, Heidi's going to celebrate.
That is what I will be celebrating.
It is. And World Cup Soccer Day today. So there you go. Even if it was World Cup of Soup Day, I think I might actually be a little more apt to celebrate that. Was it funny after I said it? I asked her earlier if it's funny, and she said, Clearly it wasn't. Not at all. Thanks for sparing me.
Oh,
Coming up in a
gosh.
bit, we got some more silly stuff. That's on the way.
John and Heidi.
It's 2017. Are you still getting your movies and TV the way we did last century? Quit overpaying for old technology. For just $20 per month, you get live news, live sports, live channels filled with movies, and more, all for just $20 per month. You can also stream movies and TV shows, so you can binge watch every episode of your favorite TV show. Learn more now at channelsurfertv.com. Get movies and TV for a low monthly fee at channelsurfertv.com.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. We don't know just who yet, but somebody out there has to be absolutely the dumbest car thief in all of America. It is the person that stole Mr. Anderson's car in Savannah, Georgia. Mr. Pro-Life Anderson. Yeah, him. His first name used to be Charles, but he had it legally changed to Pro-Life in 1987. Now, that ought to give you a little clue as to what this 74-year-old pro-life activist is all about. His 1980 Buick LeSabre is a true testament to his politics. It is literally covered with bumper stickers proclaiming slogans like, God is pro-life and real men love Jesus. He even got his name, Pro-Life Anderson, painted in giant bold letters on each door. Pro-Life Anderson says, it would be funny if it wasn't so tragic. They would be foolish to be driving a car that says, hey, look at me. Unfortunately, it was not insured because Pro-Life never thought that it would ever be stolen. In the meantime, Pro-Life says he will continue his pro-life work in his backup car, a much smaller and more subtle Nissan. So he must not have been driving this. It must have just been parked in his yard if it didn't have insurance, like a billboard or such. But it was completely covered with all kinds of stuff. Very, very much a car that would stick out. And how many people are out there stealing 1980
Well,
Buick
they probably
Sabres.
just wanted to take it to destroy it. If I,
No,
I
that
would
could
assume
be.
it's an angry, bitter,
Somebody who's
disgruntled
not
person who
pro-life.
hates babies
Would
wants
you
to
just-
go and
Really?
destroy the car.
Would you just calm down? Why don't you take a Xanax or something? I don't know what's going on over
You're
there.
asking for a profile. I'm giving
Oh,
you a profile. It'll be
Heidi.
easier to catch.
You want to draw a picture of what you think they look like?
Yes.
All right. What is that? Birkenstocks you're drawing there? Would you stop it? Coming up, we've got your brain on drugs, your moment of duh, your scoop of the day, and everything else that comes with a Thursday edition of the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Each day at this time, we talk about people doing dumb things under the influence, but addiction is no laughing matter. If you or someone you know needs help, there's a toll-free number you can call.
1-800-438-0380.
That's the Addiction Hope and Helpline.
1-800-438-0380.
And this is your brain on drugs. Here's the headline, Heidi. Drunk lives after falling asleep on train tracks. This could have been a tragic story. A drunk man in Germany passed out on a railway line and did not wake up even when a train rolled over the top of him.
Oh.
Amazingly, he was between the tracks
Holy
and was
cow.
very
lucky.
very fortunate that he didn't get killed. He was unhurt. That is one sound sleeper right there.
Yeah, it is.
He was passed out after drinking. So, if you have enough to drink, everybody's a sound sleeper. I mean, you just kind of black out. And that's what happened. And it's probably a good thing, because if he had woken
If he had
up,
moved, yeah.
if he would have set up, it would have decapitated him.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have been bad. This dude,
Yeah.
again, that happened in Germany. A drunk German fell asleep on the railway line, didn't wake up even when the train rolled right over the top of him, and he was unhurt. That is crazy. Coming up, your moment of duh.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh. New York State guy walked into a convenience store and asked the cashier for a carton of smokes. The clerk said, "Sorry, I need to get an ID." So the guy hands over his driver's license. Major nicotine urge must have kicked in, because that's when he grabbed the carton and took off running. What he forgot was his driver's license.
I think we read that.
No, we've not read that. That just happened. So there are others that do dumb things like that. How do you keep them separate, Heidi? I mean, there's so
They
many.
all sound so much
Would
alike.
you just stop? No, this is brand new. This literally just happened. It was just in the news. I'm looking at the date on here. It just happened. This one happened in New York. The one you were thinking of probably happened somewhere
Okay.
else.
Yeah, most likely.
Or it might have happened in New York, too. I have no idea. Coming up, we have your scoop of the day. Later in the program, we have this really fun thing that we do called Dear John Letters. We have our Dear John letter posted right now for all to see. Have you looked yet, Heidi?
I've not.
You don't care enough to
I
even
like
look.
to be surprised.
Okay. That's a
so
good-
that my answers are off the cuff.
Yeah. They are very genuine every time. Again, if you'd like to check it out, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
I'm John Small. Ever since I was a little fat kid, my nickname has been Big John Small. Well, I decided it was time to do something about that. When I first stepped on the scale, a little over a month ago, it said overload. That was kind of scary. After about a week, it said 336. Then a week later, 326. Now, less than 316. I've lost over 20 pounds in about a month, and I did it with a delicious pink drink. It's been super easy, and if you'd like to try it for free, go to the website pinkdrinkfree.com. They'll mail you some free samples and the details on how to get more if you like it. That's pinkdrinkfree.com.
John and Heidi.
Now your scoop of the day. This almost became our good news for today, but I've got another story that's really, really good news. But it's a sweet story. A Wisconsin bus driver, Trudy Serres, crochets toys for each of the elementary school kids on her route. Whatever they ask for, no matter how wacky the request. She's done ice cream cones for kids. She's crocheted unicorns and Star Wars characters and many elaborate custom designs. Now, it all started when a 10-year-old student dared the bus driver to crochet his favorite food. Guess what that is?
What's that?
A taco.
Okay.
So she said, I could probably crochet you a taco, and she did. And now, all these years later, she crochets toys for every kid that's on the route. So
That's nice.
That's just really a kind of a sweet story. Hey, two bears were chasing a runner who was training in Maine. Fortunately, he got away. Unfortunately, we don't have this on film, because I would love to see that. Talk about training for a marathon. So this dude's out running. He was
No
doing
greater motivation
no,
than that.
not at all. If you ever see me running, you look for the bears, because they're going to be there. A Florida woman who stopped to help a car accident victim got the surprise of a lifetime when 3 men involved in the crash, wink, wink, hijacked her car.
Oh.
Deputies say the car involved in the crash was also a stolen car. So These guys crashed the car. She stopped to help.
So they have bumper stickers all over it by chance.
Did it happen to be Pro-Life's car? Pro-Life Anderson. If you missed that story, you missed it. It was earlier. It's a guy that got his car stolen, completely covered in bumper stickers. Anyway, and then a couple of bears chasing people in Maine. What a crazy day we have going here. All kinds of crazy stuff. Florida
But
woman.
it's French Fry Day, so...
Yeah, we got that. So, 2 stories in a row that are the exact same story. When I copied and pasted, I did it twice. I was going to say it's another story about a carjacking, but it's the same story. An erratic speeding driver led an Ohio officer on a brief pursuit. Police pulled him over to find out that it was a 10-year-old boy who took mom and dad's car without permission. The boy drove 11 miles to go shopping at a convenience store. Wow. He's lucky he didn't get hurt. That's crazy. Flights out of New York's JFK airport were being delayed due to migrant turtles on the runway. So
Okay.
they're like, well, there's turtles on the runway and they're going real slow. We're going to have to just delay things.
Did you ever take your parents' car before you had your license?
No, but I got a license when I was just a tiny kid. So
Yeah.
I grew up in a place. I got my driver's license when I was 14, and I really probably wasn't ready until I was. How old am I now? 41. Probably
Maybe
about
next
now.
year.
I'll be ready soon. Hey, police in Portland, Maine, have captured a large lizard that's been on the loose. Can I say that again? A large lizard on the loose in Portland, Maine. Not anymore. They caught him in a residential neighborhood. Police say the large lizard that was on the loose was an Argentina. See, I got all that, and then I can't say this. Large lizard on the loose. An Argentina black and white taiga was living under a shed. An animal control officer was able to get the large lizard on the loose. You know how? Using a net. Not a net, a person.
Who's a net?
A net. By using a net and some hard-boiled eggs as a bait. So they put eggs out there. It's like the Easter bunny of large, loose lizards, apparently. NASA says that they've learned that the surface of Mars is far more uninhabitable than we previously thought. So Matt Damon's a big old liar. No, it was just a movie. It turns out the atmosphere is so strong that bacteria is killed within seconds of exposure. So, us going to Mars and hanging out, maybe not going to happen soon.
I saw a really funny thing on Facebook the other day that said if I was in charge of NASA, it would be mandatory that the entire crew be dressed in ape costumes upon the landing of the space shuttle. So they get off.
Where have I been? Oh, boy. And
That would
finally,
be hilarious.
a Florida woman was put into the back seat of a police cruiser, told the police it was hot. Why was she in the police cruiser? Well, she left her child unattended in a hot car.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, she
Poor
got in the back
baby.
seat. She's like, hey, it's hot in here. Well, no kidding.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
why
you
you're
just
in
did.
there.
And one last thing, because I can't believe it's true, but I can't believe It's Not Butter is changing their name. Guess what they're changing their name to?
What?
Still Not Butter. Just kidding. No, it's even sillier than that. I can't believe it's so good for everything. That's the name.
That's the name?
I can't believe it's so good for everything. What? Just
Wow.
leave it the way it was before. I don't know. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
I know it's hot out now. It's the middle of summer.
But imagine how cold it will be in November.
That's when we are going to go to Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic.
We'd love it if you'd join us.
There's a week-long event called 80s in the Sand with a bunch of great music from bands like Loverboy, Starship, Night Ranger, and more.
Plus, you get to meet 80s icons like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and so many more.
If you'd like to join us for this great time, go to 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to save $200 per person.
That's 80sinthesand.com.
John and Heidi.
And it's time right now for our
Dear John letters.
Dear John.
And today's Dear John letter comes from grossed out coworker. That's not a good sign.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yeah, I am.
Oh boy. I have this online, by the way, at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. I would love it if you'd chime in. We've got people that like to go on and chime in, but I need more. Come on, folks. You can chime in. Give me 2 seconds to let me know your thoughts on this one, especially this one. Dear John, this is kind of a gross letter, but I think it may actually help people, so here goes. I work with an older gentleman who's about 65 or 70. He's a nice guy, and he treats everyone in the office with respect and dignity. But I've noticed something that I can't quit thinking about. He's been in the restroom a few times when I'm in there, and he never washes his hands. I saw him come out of a stall and go right out the door. Then I saw him use a urinal and walk right out. I've even witnessed him in the office shaking hands with people and touching their pens and stuff, and I keep getting a little ill even just typing this. Should I say something to him? I don't know him well enough, really, but I think someone should say something. Maybe that's overstepping. What do you think? He's going to retire soon, so maybe I should just not say anything. What should I do? Signed, grossed out, coworker. All right, here's the thing. And it doesn't say here if you're his boss. Doesn't sound like you are. Doesn't sound like you work around food, thank goodness, in the office. Heidi, do you want to take a whack at this first, or?
I guess I don't see a problem with it. Just leave the guy alone.
You wouldn't say anything?
It's not like he's putting your taco together for you before you eat your lunch. And as long as when you shake his hand, you don't immediately lick your hand afterwards, you're probably going to be okay.
Here's the thing that I think I would do. As Heidi was talking, I was trying to think of the right response, because I don't know if licking your hands
It is kind of, no one's doing that
yucky.
anyway, but
Is
that the
I understand where this
proper
terminology. It's kind of yucky. Yeah, it's kind of gross. But here's what I think. Instead of directly saying something to them, maybe you just make a thing, because I see it all the time at places where it says employees must wash their hands after.
You can even just put his name right on it. Fred must wash hands before returning to work.
But I think if you do that and you pin that up in the bathroom, if you don't already have one of those, maybe if you do, make it a really big one so he can read it. But you know what? I think, again, the fact that he's 65 or 70, I wonder if this is like a generational thing. If, maybe...
Here's the thing. He's healthy. He's older.
Yeah.
There could be something to that. I know a lot of people who keep their kids in a bubble and their hands are sanitized after every single thing they touch, and their kids are always sick.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just
Some
saying,
truth
there
to
could
that.
be some
This
truth
guy found
to
the
the fact
fountain of
that you're...
youth?
Yeah.
The fountain of youth is a little bit of...
Fountain of youth is his own fountain.
fountain of germs all over your hands. Ugh.
I'm just saying it might... you don't have to be such a germaphobe freak.
Trying to, if he's not coming into your space, but I see him shaking hands with people and touching their pens and stuff. Okay, well, so he's kind of getting on other people's stuff. I don't know. I don't think that it's a...
I don't think it's an issue.
Probably not. But here's, again, if it were me...
I mean, if you're bothered by it, I guess that's maybe an issue that you have. Make sure you wash your own hands twice as often then, if that's a concern. But
and maybe some hand sanitizer. And if you're in the restroom...
I get just so... Germaphobes crack me up.
I'm kind of a germaphobe, though.
Because I am not... I know, and I like to mess with you.
She does. Like, she'll get the handle in the bathroom all wet. And I go to grab the handle. I'm like, what was that all about?
I do it on purpose, just so I can see people. Ugh. I used to do it at the office building, too. I'd get my hands really, really wet when I washed them, and then I'd slather my hands all over the handle. So the next person came out to touch the handle, and it's all wet and clammy, and they'd be like, ugh.
It was you. You were the one.
It's just funny to me.
Here, again, I think maybe typing up a little must wash hands. Or here's the other thing. Get some hand sanitizer. And I'm not saying to camp out in the bathroom, but I'm saying if you go in there about the same time he goes in there, offer, hey, would you like some hand sanitizer? And if you call attention to it, maybe he'll realize that somebody's noticing, and that would help too. I don't know. I hope somebody has a better answer, because I don't think we gave diddly squat for an answer today. Hey,
I wouldn't worry about it. That's
if you'd
my
like to have
answer.
some crack advice next week, like grossed out coworker here, who clearly got their money's worth. Did I mention it's free? Get some free advice. Get your Dear John letter answered at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Are you enjoying your summer, or are you worrying about this fall and how you're going to pay for college? A few years ago, a young man named Matthew was having those same worries. Then he went to work to find as many grants and scholarships as he could find, and he got a $70,000 top-rate education for free. Now he's showing you how to do it too. FreeEducationUniversity.com can help you find ways to get your schooling paid for, and right now you can get this information for less than half the regular price. Use promo code RADIO1000 to save $1,000 at FreeEducationUniversity.com.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The only domestic animal not mentioned in the Bible is the cat. Yeah, every other domesticated animal is mentioned in the Bible. No kitty cats.
Cats are evil.
No, they are not evil.
If Satan has
Her
a book, they're mentioned in that one.
Would you stop it? Her name is Heidi. Heidi. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The dot over the I is called the what? Do you know what it's called? The little dot on an eye?
No.
It's the tittle. Tittle. It's a little tittle over the eye. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The original story of the 1001 Arabian Nights begins, Aladdin was a little Chinese boy. Yeah. That's not how it was on Aladdin, though. But that's the original story. And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
It's not an Arabian night, is it? It's
No.
Chinese night.
No, I didn't write it. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Nutmeg is poisonous. Yeah, extremely poisonous if injected intravenously. So don't do that. Who the heck is doing that? I don't know. Somebody had to do that to find out, though. A couple of fun facts brought to you by pinkdrinkfree.com. Not just another diet, it's a way of life. That's pinkdrinkfree.com.
John and Heidi.
I'm John Small. Ever since I was a little fat kid, my nickname has been Big John Small. Well, I decided it was time to do something about that. When I first stepped on the scale, a little over a month ago, it said overload. That was kind of scary. After about a week, it said 336. Then a week later, 326. Now, less than 316. I've lost over 20 pounds in about a month, and I did it with a delicious pink drink. It's been super easy, and if you'd like to try it for free, go to the website pinkdrinkfree.com. They'll mail you some free samples and the details on how to get more if you like it. That's pinkdrinkfree.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. As many as 75% of American children consume caffeine every single day, which is leading to sleep problems among the biggest consumers of caffeine, according to a study published in the Journal of Pediatrics. So kiddos are really hopping it up on caffeine, Heidi. I just saw some kiddos drinking energy drinks the other day.
That just really worries me when I see
I'm not a
that.
fan of that. And here's the
Every
thing.
once in a while, our daughter will come home with
Oh, yeah.
one, and I'm like, no.
She's 16. The kids
Dump
that I
it out.
saw drinking them were much younger than I know that you knew she was 16. I was saying that so others knew that because I didn't want them to think that she was like 2. But the kids that I saw drinking,
I know she's 16.
I know that you know that. We're talking on the radio to other people. They may not know we're married and our daughter is 16. Can we move on now? Okay. So the other day when I saw there were some kids drinking energy drinks and they were only like 7 years old. And they both had these have you ever seen how big the cans are?
Oh, yeah.
Had these cans bigger than their head. And I was like, wow. It just kind of concerned me. But according to the Journal of Pediatrics, the research says carried out by doctors at the University of Nebraska Medical Center found that children between the ages of 8 and 12 consume an average of 109 milligrams of caffeine every day. That's the equivalent of 3 cans of caffeinated soda. Lead researcher William Warzik said the intake of caffeine appears to interfere with children's sleep patterns and with sleep disruptions increasing as they consume more caffeine. So, kids, if you have the jitters and you're only 6, maybe you're drinking too much caffeine. It's just a bad idea. When were you first started? When did you first start drinking like coffee and caffeine and that? When just as a little kid?
Oh, yeah.
Did you drink coffee a lot when you were a little kid?
Yeah.
Kids, you don't want to turn out like her, do you?
Our daughter drank coffee out
I
of a
know.
sippy cup.
I
Straight
remember.
black coffee.
And now she's coming home drinking energy drinks. What a shock. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about warts. That's on the way.
John and Heidi.
It's 2017. Are you still getting your movies and TV the way we did last century? Quit overpaying for old technology. For just $20 per month, you get live news, live sports, live channels filled with movies and more, all for just $20 per month. You can also stream movies and TV shows, so you can binge watch every episode of your favorite TV show. Learn more now at channelsurfertv.com. Get movies and TV for a low monthly fee at channelsurfertv.com.
John and Heidi.
Warts. They're not just an adult problem. 1 in 3 children will contract a wart this year. And they're more likely to get a wart from a family member or a classmate than from a toad or a public area like a swimming pool. It says warts usually go away, but you can manage the growth over-the-counter salicylic. Am I saying that right? Probably not. Salicylic acid? I don't know. You might want to Google that.
Wart remover.
Yeah, that's the stuff. And also, that'll help prevent transmission by having your child keep the infected area covered, according to the Leiden University Medical Center in the Netherlands. Up until I couldn't say that acid, do you think people thought maybe I was a doctor? Do these glasses make
Not
me
if
look
they've
smart?
listened before.
Do I look intelligent with these glasses? Is that not conveyed through the radio? Probably not. How would you say it? Salicylic. Salicylic.
Anyway, it's wart remover.
Salicylic. That stuff. Anyway, all of this from Family Circle. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Do you ever procrastinate, Heidi?
Yes.
I don't.
Yes, you do.
I was kidding.
You're way worse than me. You're a
I'm
million
really-
times worse than me.
Look at this. I have a list that I made last week.
Yes.
Here we are, Thursday.
And every day I keep saying, "Hey, do you have
this
any
is
of that for
important
me?"
stuff too. Yeah, I'll do it.
You're like, "I will in a minute."
I'll do it in a
Oh,
minute.
look, how many people are upset that my name got changed on Facebook.
It did get changed on Facebook.
Well, I don't care
That
when
turned
you've
into a
got
big
this
deal the
stuff
other
to
day.
do. You like every 2 seconds updating me. Oh, 48 people.
It was just funny.
Now
I was
50.
amazed how many people really cared about that. I was like, wow, this is like the most
I'm like,
engaged
do you have
post.
any work to do? Because
Most
I have no
engaging
work
post
to do
I've ever
till you
had on
do
Facebook.
work.
Anyway, hey, you can overcome a tendency to procrastinate by focusing on progress instead of perfection. Set goals for yourself. When you achieve them, give yourself a reward. Break up big projects into small steps that take 30 minutes or less. And if you don't have self-discipline to turn off Facebook and Twitter at work, were we just talking about that? Install software that will do that for you. Or, I don't know, work right next to your wife and have her tell you 18 times a minute.
It's clearly not working.
It says identify specific areas in which you procrastinate, map out the steps the steps required to achieve your goals. So there you go.
John and Heidi.
I know it's hot out now. It's the middle of summer.
But imagine how cold it will be in November.
That's when we're going to go to Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic.
We'd love it if you'd join us.
There's a week-long event called 80s in the Sand with a bunch of great music from bands like Loverboy, Starship, Night Ranger, and more.
Plus, you get to meet 80s icons like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and so many more.
If you'd like to join us for this great time, go to 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to save $200 per person.
That's 80sinthesand.com.
John and Heidi.
You can't see them, at least not for the most part, but the average American home harbors about 100 different types of insects and other creepy crawler critters. Did you know that? The average
I'm
home.
sure it does.
So the average home has 100 bugs, 100 types of bugs. So there's probably thousands of bugs. I'm going to move. This is from research from North Carolina State University. Specifically, our homes provide harbor for diverse communities of flies and spiders and other mites. Nearly every room, from our kitchen to the bedroom. How do these critters get into your house? Well, it's usually by accident. They catch a ride on cut flowers or wander in through an open door or a window or crevice. They're not made to live indoors, so they typically die pretty quickly. Here's the thing I was just thinking of. You got all these little bugs and critters and stuff hanging out, so you're going to take a shower. Their bugs are watching you take a shower. Their little bug eyes, there'd be like 1,000 people taking a shower. You ever seen that? I don't know if that's real, but like on TV when they show what a fly looks out, when they look, they have all these different eyes. Do you think they really see that?
I don't know.
They apparently do. So when I try to smack
All I
a
know
fly,
is that would be pretty freaking scary in the shower with me.
whoa, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
Have you noticed, by the way, that you're losing hair in the shower? What's going on there?
I live with you.
Is it? Am I causing
I
stress?
have a very stressful life.
My beautiful bride over here. I went and I slipped on a piece of hair and I thought there was a dog in there with me. What's this all about? So, everything all right?
No.
Okay, we should
No, it is not
check into
okay
that.
at all.
Just noticed there was some hair in the shower. It has nothing to do with the bug story we're talking about, but why not mix bugs and hair? 100 types of insects in the average home. So that means if your home is below average, like if you're not tidy, you could have thousands of types of insects in your house. Gonna go tidy things up and get something to clean all these bugs out of our house. Coming up, we've got some good news. That's on the way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news. You ready for some good news, Heidi?
Always.
All right. Southern California teen raised about $15,000 to send an 89-year-old Holocaust survivor to Israel so the man could meet his last living relative and finally receive his bar mitzvah. Drew, principal, is 17. He came up with this idea for a fundraiser after meeting a gentleman by the name of Henry Oster, and he's 89, met him during a school assembly in January. Oster told students at Viewpoint High near Los Angeles about his experiences during World War II. the principal discovered that Oster had never been to Israel. So, and I'm sorry, not the principal. That's the kid's name, Drew Principal. He discovered that Oster had never been to Israel, so the teen decided to begin an online fundraiser, and it took off quickly and raised about $15,000. And I've got a link to this story so you can check it out at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. I think that's really cool.
That's incredibly cool.
Very cool that this young man met this guy at a school function and then said, "Hey, I'm going to do a fundraiser to send him home and let him, get a chance to do what he has wanted to do for 89 years." So that's really, really neat. If you happen to come across a cool story like this online, you can share those with me. And you can also, on the same place that I'm going to tell you about, you can also share your Dear John letter for next week. We had a good one today. Was that your favorite Dear John letter so far?
Absolutely.
Every day, every Thursday, she says it's her favorite. So that just means they keep getting better and better and better. So now you really have a lot of hard work in front of you, folks. You want to send in a good Dear John letter for next week, and we'll see if it'll be Heidi's favorite next week. You can do all of that and see this story at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great Thursday. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Time now for the bonus break on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest joining us today. We have Danielle Smith, and Danielle Smith is a lifestyle entrepreneur, and we're going to be chatting about a new automated tool encouraging saving and fostering charitable giving, and this is something that's going to help the next generation, isn't it, Danielle?
It certainly is. Thank you so much for having me, first of all, John.
Absolutely. Excited to have you. And we were chatting a little bit ahead of time here, and I'm learning a little bit about Current, and it sounds fascinating. So first of all, how long has this been around?
It is. It's based in New York. It's a startup based in New York, and they have been incorporated for the past couple of years. But it's really hit the ground running in the past couple of months, and I'm excited about it because it's an app-based smart debit card for kids. So if you can imagine, what you and I were talking about is, when I was a teenager, my first real foray into money was college. I went to college, and all of a sudden everyone said, "Do you want a credit card?" And I said, "Why, yes, I do. Thank you so much for asking." And then that turned into a bit of a disaster. With this allows you to go to current.com, and I sign up as a parent, I attach it to my bank account, and then I can set up wallets for my kids. Then my kids get an actual debit card in the mail. This wallet is part of an app. The kids can see the app. It's broken up into 3 categories: spending, saving, and giving.
Nice.
So they learn how to do all 3 of these things, which I didn't learn how to do as a kid.
Well, and that's a really neat thing, to have that built in, the spending, saving, and giving. This is something that, as a parent myself, I've got a son that's 20 and a daughter that's 16, and this is something that we've tried to ingrain in our children, how important that is, the saving part especially. Make sure you're saving some. You're making money, you got to save some. And the giving part, that's important. The spending, they got figured out on their own. I don't know how that worked, but it's like they're just drawn to it. But you want to have that nice balance, and it's cool that this product, Current, it has it all built right in for you. That's awesome.
It really does. And so the way it works is I can assign either individual chores. I can say, I would like you to scrub the floors. I would like you to walk the dog. I would like you to wash the car. I would like you to wash the windows. And I can assign a dollar value to that. And when they complete that task, I move that money over. Or if I want to give my kids a weekly allowance, I move that over on a regular basis. Then my kids know. In our house, we have broken it down to 60% they're allowed to spend, 30% is savings, and 10% is giving. So they automatically have to do the math, break down whatever I've spent. So I've given them $10. And there's $6 they keep, $3 they save, $1 goes into their giving. And then once they hit a $10 threshold in their giving, there are more than 2 million charities that are attached to the giving wallet within Current. So if they are really attached to helping animals, they can say, "Hey, I'd like to donate to the Best Friends Society." Or if there's military in their family, they can say, "Look, Wounded Warriors is a big deal for us." Or I'd like to donate to Feeding America. And just transfer it right over.
That's really cool. Is there a way to add to those as well, or it's just the ones that are on there right now?
Absolutely. That's actually a great question. I was asked that earlier this week by a friend of mine who said, "Hey, what if there's a local charity that's really important to us?" And so I actually asked the CEO, and he said, "Yes, what you do is you search, and if the local charity that you want to give to is not on there, you email their support, and they'll add it for you."
That is really cool. Again, visiting right now with Danielle Smith, we're talking about a really cool product called Current, and the website is current.com. And this is an app that provides parents and their children a way to mutually agree on things like allowances and how they're going to pay for their chores and all of that, and how the money is spent. It's a really cool idea. And this is something that, are there quite a few people that are utilizing this already, Danielle?
They really are. And I have to tell you, John, one of the things that I love, and I know other parents are really finding is amazing, if I hand my daughter $10 and I send her to the movies, or I send her, she's at one of our softball games, and I say, here's $10. She goes to the concession stand. I don't know if she spends it on a T-shirt. I don't know if she buys food, if she gets something for her friends. But with Current, there is so much transparency. The second she spends any money, I get a notification on my phone that tells me not only how much she spent, but where she spent it.
Nice.
So if I decide, wait a second, I've sent her out with her friends, the past 3 weekends in a row, and she's going to Starbucks every time. She needs to stop spending money at Starbucks. So number one, it gives me the opportunity to open up the conversation about frivolous spending. But also, I can block an individual retailer.
Oh.
I can say, you know what? I don't want you spending money at Starbucks anymore. I don't want you spending money at H&M anymore. And also, as a parent, there are parental controls. So I can block entire categories of spending. So I can say, you have a 16-year-old. So maybe you say, I'm okay with you getting money out of an ATM. My children, I block the ATM category. You can also block hotels and airlines and any type of nightlife so that you have control. Their debit card won't work in those areas.
Nice. So when they swipe it, it just says declined?
Yes.
Nice. That is such a cool feature.
Well, yeah, the idea is that you're teaching them. This is financial responsibility. It's money management, and it's way of helping them to grow, to learn, and to make some money without the net.
Yeah.
I have that net there to be able to have that conversation. One of the first things my daughter did is go spend $15 on candy. And when I think about it, I remember doing the same thing. Now, at the time it wasn't $15, but it was probably the equivalent because I was making $1, $1.50 an hour for babysitting. So
Wow.
it's probably the same equivalent of how much money I spent in the candy store. But so I had a conversation with her that said, look, sweetheart, I love you, but I'm here to tell you, if that's how you're going to spend, you're going to be sorely disappointed when you come back and you realize that you spent more than a week's worth of what I'm willing to give you based on the chores you're doing, and you have nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
So, how much work are you doing for that? So they're earning, and they're starting to realize that they have to work to make the money, and if they spend it on things that don't matter, then there's a lot more work that has to be done.
Absolutely. Now, Danielle, is there a fee to set this up, or how does this whole program work?
There are a variety of payment plans, but they start as little as $2 a month. And I will tell you that if your listeners are interested, my website is prettyextraordinary.com, and the Current has given me a code that's pretty extraordinary, which will give your listeners 3 months off when they first sign up.
Very nice. So when they go in, if they set up an account, if they type in like a code, what is it called? A promo code, Pretty Extraordinary?
It's a promo code, and once they get to, it's the end of the process. So as they're once they enter in all their banking information, they get to the end of the process, they'll enter in the code, and it'll give them the first 3 months off.
Nice. And then Pretty Extraordinary is what they would use for that promo code. And again, we're visiting with Danielle Smith, her website, prettyextraordinary.com. But the site that you'd want to go to set this up would be current.com. Is that correct?
It is correct, yeah.
All right.
And it only takes a couple of minutes to get it set up. It took me less than 3 minutes from the time that I entered in all of my information, attached it to my bank account, and then added my daughter Delaney and my son Cooper. And then we just downloaded the app to our phone.
Well, it's a really neat idea, and this is something that I think a lot of parents are going to love because it's a good way to help teach your children good habits when spending money. And like I was saying before, the bad habits just come naturally. So I think, encouraging them to have some good habits, that would be a good thing.
Well, and I think that we don't realize that our kids don't know the difference between a debit card and a credit card because oftentimes we use them interchangeably, right?
Yeah.
So we pull one out of our wallet, we pull the other one out of our wallet. One we have to punch in a code, the other one we just swipe, but they're not really paying attention to that portion. So for this, once they get their card in the mail, you call in with them and assign a 4-digit PIN code that is theirs. But here's the other thing, too, I wanted to mention on the level of transparency. You can shut the card down at any time.
Nice.
If for any reason you see that, if for any reason you're worried that they're spending too much or you say, wait a second, you're being irresponsible with this, you go to your phone, and in 30 seconds, you put a hold on it.
Nice. It sounds like a really cool thing. Again, the website current.com. Our guest, Danielle Smith, and she is with prettyextraordinary.com. So if you're going to current.com and signing up for this program, be sure to use her promo code and you'll get some a couple of months free, which is really cool. And her promo code again is prettyextraordinary. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us, Danielle.
I so appreciate you having me, John. You have a wonderful day.
You do the same. It was fun to visit. Again, Danielle Smith, her website, prettyextraordinary.com. And again, the concept we were talking about here, such a cool concept. I'm going to have to check into this for our kids because we've done a pretty poor job of giving them good financial advice because I the other day I was in my daughter's car and I saw the junk food that she's been getting. So I think maybe there's a disconnect, or maybe she's just been watching mom and dad too much. That's probably what it is. But again, the website for the product we've been talking about, the card and the app, it's called Current. So the website is current.com. And if you use that promo code prettyextraordinary, you'll get a couple of months free. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.